Welcome to Life L'Chaim. On today's show, we'll talk with actor Joshua Malina, star of TV's West Wing and Sports Night, about how he became involved in acting and why Judaism is so important in his life. We'll talk with Josh right after these messages.
Thank you for joining us today. We have a very special guest with us on L'Chaim, Joshua Malina. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you for having me. I'm delighted to be on a show that has in the title.
I appreciate that.
It's been a long time.
You're in town for a community campaign celebration of the Jewish Federation of Broward.
That is true. I get to speak at the event tonight. It will have taken place, I guess, by the time this airs.
Right.
Hopefully it went well.
I'm sure it did.
So, yeah, I'm excited. It is what it sounds like. It's a celebration of this incredibly generous community and the things that the Federation has been able to accomplish.
Josh, you're well known for your credits involving the Sports Night, the West Wing, movies including American President, Bulworth, among many others.
For a while.
Right, and what's interesting is on Sports Night, you played a Jewish character.
That is true.
And then on West Wing, there were two other Jewish characters that had a very strong Jewish identity to both of them.
Yeah.
And then you came in, you were given the character's name of Will Bailey. Mm-hmm. And so was that a choice by Aaron Sorkin to not make you so Jewish?
Actually, that's very, very perceptive of you because I came onto the show in the fourth season when Rob Lowe decided to leave, and I lobbied a little through email to Aaron, and shortly thereafter he said, I want to get together, I have an idea. And so I met him at the Four Seasons Hotel, and we sat down. He started pitching me. He said, it looks like Rob is deciding to go. I'm going to create, or maybe he had started writing this character for you. Actually, the name at the time was Benjamin Beatty. Well, it turns out that Warren Beatty has a son named Benjamin, and apparently, I don't know, maybe he's not fond of me, but
right.
didn't want there to be a character with that name. They changed the name ultimately to Will Bailey, and he told me, sort of pitched me the story arc and told me a lot about the character, and then we did have this moment where Aaron got kind of a serious look in his eye and in hushed tones said, "Now I do have to tell you, the character's not going to be Jewish." I was like, so what? Right. What do you think, I'm not going to play the part? Because I will only play Jews. But no, he said, yeah, there's Josh Lyman and there's Toby Ziegler. I said, Aaron, I don't care.
You can handle it.
Yes. Although ultimately later in the series, actually after Aaron had left, there were, I think in season 6, there were episodes, the season started with a few episodes in and around Camp David and discussions of the situation between Israel and the Palestinians. And not long before writing those episodes, I was talking to John Wells, who was running the show at that point, and I guess I was traveling to do a speaking engagement, something like this, speaking to a federation, and I told him about it, and he said, "Oh, I didn't realize you were so, that Israel was such an important thing to you, and being Jewish." And so I probably bent his ear for a while. Next thing I knew, Will Bailey was fervently pro-Israel.
Very good.
So that was nice.
Well, you have a relationship that goes back many years with Aaron Sorkin.
That is true.
Tell our viewers how that relationship got started.
Well, I knew him a little bit as a kid. I grew up in New Rochelle, New York, in the suburbs. He in Scarsdale, 15 minutes away from each other. He went to high school with my cousins, with whom I'm very close. It's all Jewish geography in the end. And so I saw him in school plays. I'm introduced a few times. And then when I got out of college, my mother suggested, in the classic Jewish mother tradition, she said, you should call Aaron Sorkin. I think he's in Manhattan. And being a good Jewish son, I follow my mother's advice. So I called him, and we hooked up and became friends, and we played a lot of poker together. And I don't think I even knew, I'm not sure that I knew at the time even that he was a writer, but he sort of casually mentioned, I'm sure across a poker table, that he had written this play, A Few Good Men. Do I want to audition for it? And I did, and I'm sure in large part, if not entirely because of his urging them to cast me, they did. And so that was really the first professional job.
Right, and there's a great Heimlich story.
I did, it is true that subsequently I Heimlicked him. We got to A Few Good Men was on Broadway, and I played little roles originally, and I understudied 3 of the leads, and eventually I took over one of the roles. And one of the great perks about playing on Broadway is that you get to also take part in the Broadway Bowling League, and this would be a weekly event where the guys from A Few Good Men play against the cast of A Chorus Line. You go bowling in some little bowling alley, I think at Port Authority, and there. At one of these, Aaron bowled with us, and in a typically generous gesture, he bought like a tray of hamburgers for people, and before he bowled, he took an enormous bite of hamburger and then started choking, and we kind of thought he was doing shtick, and we sort of just stared at him for a while laughing until it became clear he actually was choking. And the only time I've ever really reacted under pressure, I think with any kind of calm, or I highlighted him. I didn't really know what I was doing. I just kind of got behind him and sort of beat him up, cracked 3 of his ribs.
Wow.
Sent a wad of hamburger hurtling out of his mouth, and
But we'll set the record straight. You get the roles because you can do the job.
it might be the Heimlich. I'm very comfortable with the notion that he just likes to have me around when he's eating.
Right.
Whatever leads to the employment.
Very good. Well, let's switch gears a little bit. You're in town for a lot of people say that you wear your Jewishness on your sleeve, and I think you would admit that. You're very active politically regarding Jewish causes. And this quote was attributed to you, and it says, "A Jew is what I am, an actor is what I do." Why is it so important for you to let the world know that you're Jewish?
Well, I would say I'm a yeshiva boy at heart, so I was given the gift, I feel like, from my parents of having a strong Jewish identity and valuing that. So it's not even so much that I feel like I have to, make a statement or an announcement, but it just really is who I am. And I feel like an actor describes what I do for a living, and I love it and I enjoy it. But a Jew speaks more at a primal level of what my identity is, and I spend most of my time trying to be a good Jewish daddy now. And so
well, your parents were very active for Jewish causes as well.
That's true. They were involved in founding a temple when I was a kid, and they made the decision to send me to yeshiva. We had a household that valued Judaism and what that meant, and trying to live a good life, and celebrating Jewish events, and that's just that's the kind I'm trying to create the same kind of household and upbringing for my kids. So I'm happy to talk about it, especially because sometimes I feel like the things you see in terms of Judaism publicly sometimes are more kind of cultural, and I think the substantive, has greater value. I like Knishes and Mel Brooks movies too, but I think it's good for Jewish kids to see that they're. I'm no role model, but the actors are somebody they might recognize. Places,
Well, we all, as parents, we all stand up and say, "Andy's Jewish." That's something that we all do.
Right. That's true. Exactly. That is a classic thing. That's true.
Right. One of the things you do is you speak on behalf of Israel very prominently. Why do you feel it's very important to do that?
Well, I think stepping over from Judaism to the issue of Israel is really where you start to get into hot water, and where I think people are afraid to attach themselves publicly or support Israel publicly. And my feeling is that it is a hot button issue, and I feel like sometimes we present the issue as Jewish, and as Jewish parents, sometimes we present the issue as black and white, and I can understand why. There's a sort of defensive where Israel, even if it's not at war with bullets, it's always at war. There's always a PR war, and there are people undermining its legitimacy, even just to exist as a country. So to me, that is a black and white issue, and I feel, I have no problem saying Israel has a right to exist and to exist peacefully. I believe there's a lot of gray area, and it's good to get into that gray area with your kids. And yes, there are things to discuss, and there are different. You can have different points of view, sometimes counter to the Israeli government, but that doesn't mean you step away from the basic proposition that Israel has a country has a right to exist. And the way I got into because my natural inclination really isn't to talk about my political views publicly. I usually roll my eyes when I see actors. I'm like, yeah, you're an actor. Act. I don't need to know what your political point of view is. But I flipped a little bit, at least in the issue of Israel, and this goes back more than 10 years, when there was a rally the Jewish Federation sponsored rally for Israel. And it really was apolitical, at least from my point of view, because its only message was Israel has a right to exist. So they asked me to sit on the dais as a celebrity. I don't think I'm a celebrity now. I certainly wasn't then. I hadn't done West Wing. Well, I had done Sports Night. Well, here's the telling anecdote, is that I walked up to the celebrity sign-in desk and they said, "Who are you?" Which is generally a tip-off that you're not a big celebrity, or maybe a celebrity at all, when the sign-in people don't know you. So I spelled my name slowly, and they gave me my press credentials or whatever, and I walked up, and when I got on the dais, it was like, it was the then mayor of Los Angeles, a musician that I recognized, and that was it. And I was kind of looking like, what? Where are the celebrities? And I commented to somebody at Federation, I said, well, you couldn't do better than me? And they said, oh, are you kidding? If it has to do with Israel, nobody will come. And I don't want to paint with too broad a stroke, because there are people who will do things, but it's slim pickings. And here in in Los Angeles, where there's no shortage of high-profile Jews, so that's that got me going a little bit.
Even still, though, it appears that in Hollywood there's a pro-Palestinian push, not a pro-Israel push.
Right. Look, and my feeling is, I'm not anti-Palestinian. I'm pro-Palestinian. Humans are humans, and if there's a way to work things out so that it's not too idealistic, but if people could live in peace, that's the goal. Which is why I feel like I try to shy away from, and I don't try to tell my kids, this side's right, this side is wrong. But I do agree. I think there is, even among Jewish celebrities, there is an almost knee-jerk defensive-ness, if not negativity, towards Israel, and that, I think, is a huge shame, if not verging on a tragedy. I think we have to embrace discussing the issues and embrace Israel as a country, as Jewish parents, and so yeah, that is. Right. I guess that is sort of my pet peeve, that it's hard to get high-profile Jewish entertainers.
We recently had a discussion with Professor Alan Dershowitz, who's on a campaign to promote the promotion of the support of Israel among our kids. Yeah. Because what he proffered was that when we were younger, we had all this great pride for Israel because of the Six-Day War, 73 War, and so forth, and their ability to survive against massive odds. Right. Do you find that to be the case with your kids? Because you have teenage...
I have two kids. Today is my daughter's 13th birthday.
Happy birthday.
Thank you. And so she will become a bat mitzvah in about a month.
Mazel tov.
In fact, thank you. Todah rabah. I was actually literally video conferencing yesterday with my daughter, because I was here already in Florida, and we were practicing our Haftarah through video conferencing.
Very good.
It's a brave new world of bat mitzvah prep.
Right. That's awesome.
But yes, it's funny, actually. It's one of the things that weighs on me. And I want to show that, make it clear that I'm not holding myself up as some paragon of Jewish parenting. I'm just involved in the issues and trying to fight the good fight. I have not taken my kids have not been to Israel. And it's funny, just recently, I've been 3 times myself. I would like to go more frequently. I certainly would like to take my wife and children. And my son, for some reason, recently, he keeps articulating. He and one of his friends are obsessed with Israel. I really want to go, and I really want to. I have to make that happen soon. While that seems like an exciting and a great thing to do, I think there, as much as we talk about it, and that is important. Even more important is going there, because a lot of the other stuff falls away when you actually get off the plane and you're in Israel. The last time I went, I remember people were asking me, "Are you scared? Are you afraid?" And I was like, you don't really, what Israel's like, I guess, from reading newspapers or something. Someone said to me something about barbed wire and fences, and I said, that's not Israel.
Well, what Professor Dershowitz hypothesized was that it wasn't cool for kids to be prideful of Israel any longer.
That's exactly one of the reasons why I'd like to see people with profiles higher than mine embrace Israel, because that, for better or worse, that makes it cool. The non-Jewish celebrities, they're there all the time. Madonna's there, Whitney Houston is there. It would be, which is wonderful, and I'm always psyched when I read that. But I was going, where's the? I don't want to say names, but I could rattle off 20 names of people that, boy, if they would go, oh my God, kids would go, hey, look
Right.
who's going to Israel. That's cool.
Great point.
And so that's also one of my would-be projects would be to help try to, and I've tried in the past, it didn't happen, but I'd like to be a conduit to celebrity and try to get some high-profile Jewish celebrities, maybe who have never gone or who have gone and not publicized it, and just to let it shine a little light on how great Israel is.
What do you see as Israel's #1 threat today?
Wow. It depends. Political answer like
Right.
Iran, or I feel more comfortable addressing the greater, which is perception. It's just always been a bit of a PR disaster. And I think that's always going to be. It's conceptually in people's minds and hearts what Israel is, and I think getting out a more accurate picture of what life is like there and what the people are like there.
If you don't mind me pushing you just a little
go
bit.
for it.
I'm curious as to what your opinion would be of actors like Danny Glover and Sean Penn, who so actively support dictators, if you will, like Hugo Chavez, which in turn supports, someone like Ahmadinejad.
That gets into very hairy territory, in part, and not because I couldn't care less about Sean Penn. I'm not worried about alienating people who are unaware of my existence. I just don't. I don't like to hold my. I don't want to hold myself forth as an expert on things that are really politically very intricate. That being said, I certainly do question sometimes who gets embraced and who does not.
Right.
And I think there's a way also, and to me, I think the most, because as pro-Israel as I am, I don't want anyone to think of me as anti-Palestinian or anti-anyone else. I mean, I try to take in the human element of it, and what I'd like to see is, people in that area able to live a life of peace and, concentrate on the important things. But yeah, I find it discouraging a lot of the time. Also because, I'm a Democrat, so, I do find it sometimes disappointing when, super left-leaning Democrat Hollywood goes one way when I wish there is a more, if not, more moderate way, or a way that is a little bit more inclusive.
Do you feel that President Obama is a supporter of Israel?
I think so. I think that could also get into a very, we could probably talk for hours. Yeah, I think in some ways he's putting pressure on them. My own personal feelings are that it's maybe a kind of pressure that could be helpful. So yeah, I don't know. I get too specific. Okay. I do think he's pro-Israel. I think sometimes we, and I even myself, I know I get my back up a little bit when pressure is applied. About the settlements or a moratorium. But the truth is, I kind of think that is a positive way. I think that there are areas where Israel does have to give, and that I like to think of Israel as. I don't want to quote a hot dog commercial, but answering to a higher power. Okay. So I do think there are moral issues about their treatment of the Palestinians, the treatment of their own Arab citizens. So I don't automatically seize up when I see, say, the president putting that kind of pressure. I think maybe.
Would you agree that he's at least left his position ambivalent on the subject, where he hasn't fully supported and hasn't fully disengaged?
Depends. I mean, because that comes down to, I think, what each person's definition of fully supporting is. So, if I see him putting a certain kind of pressure on, I don't find that necessarily not supportive. I think it's maybe a more realistic way to try to get some movement in terms of negotiations or some sort of peace deal. So I would say no. I think he's fully supportive. Does that mean that we're going to be happy with every single move he makes or suggestion he makes? No, but I don't find myself questioning. Is this guy anti-Israel? Okay. Does he have a secret agenda? No, I don't think so.
Okay, let's lighten it up.
Okay,
just a little bit. You're obviously you play poker a lot. I would imagine.
I used to a lot more. Before I became a daddy and a father, I played A lot.
Yeah.
I play a little, but yeah.
You were executive producer for a show that
That's true.
ran on Bravo.
Celebrity Poker Showdown that ran on Bravo for.
What's your worst poker tell?
My worst poker tell? That's an interesting question. Boy, you'd have to ask the people I play with.
They haven't told you, man. I knew you had nothing. I knew you were bluffing.
I'm sure that's happened here and there. Nobody's ever said it's because you tug your left ear when you're bluffing. So the answer is I don't know. I probably should.
When you play in tournaments, do you wear sunglasses and a hat and a hoodie?
I do not. I have a friend, Phil Gordon, he's a pro, and he was the commentator on Celebrity Poker Showdown. And he once wrote something about if you wear glasses indoors to a poker table, you're a jackass. So I have to admit, before that, I had occasionally worn sunglasses at the poker table. Now, not so much.
Right.
I dream of wearing just a complete motorcycle helmet. So there's literally complete sense deprivation, and I think it would make it harder.
What's your favorite poker game?
Favorite poker game? I'm definitely a Hold'em player. That's definitely what I've played the most. I like playing No Limit Hold'em.
Very good. Very good. Can we do some word association?
Oh, wow. Sure, bring it. Hebrew or English?
English?
Or Yiddish?
English.
Or a little bit of French?
We'll do English.
Good. That's my best language.
Okay. Islam.
Islam. Wow. Complicated. I think. Am I supposed to say more than one word?
No, complicated is good.
I was going to say, in a sense, I sympathize. I think that, they've got some PR issues too. And then when you get instant reactions to like one word, I think you'd probably get a lot of negative response to the word Islam, and I think there's probably a lot of positive aspect to it that gets lost in in the actions of certain people. So I think there's maybe a sympathy to be found there, Israel and Islam.
Justin Bieber.
Justin Bieber, young. I have no strong. He's so young that my kids don't think he's cool at 13 and 8. It's like, wow, even at their age.
Vegas.
Vegas, poker. To me, actually don't go to Vegas that much because I used to for the poker show, but because you can play poker legally in Los Angeles, Vegas doesn't hold a huge allure for me because I would just go there and play poker.
Rush Limbaugh.
OxyContin. My honest first reaction.
Okay. Martin Sheen.
Prince. He's a prince among men. I was just talking earlier about Martin. It's very helpful. A lot of TV shows are not, or sets, are not necessarily relaxed, happy places. But when the top dog, when Martin Sheen, the clear star of the show, is as nice as he is and was, and nobody else, you can't act like a jackass if the star isn't that nice.
Right.
And just treated everybody with great respect and kindness, and he's funny. And once a year he would. I'm going to wrap the two together, Sheen in Vegas. Once a year he would pay to have buses take everyone, and I mean like extras, everyone to Vegas. He'd put everyone up. They'd gamble on the bus on the way out. He'd like give away money, people playing bingo or something, and then and they'd have like a free weekend on Martin. Like, that's a good guy.
Very nice. Charlie Sheen.
Charlie Sheen, out of respect for the father, I'd have to say, I got nothing bad to say about him. Well,
Okay.
I read about him often.
That's it for this edition. We want to thank all of our guests for appearing on the show. For all the latest news about our program, or if you have an idea for a story, please visit our website at tolifel'chaim.com. I hope you'll join us next time on To Life L'Chaim.